Chapter 1: The Silence Between Us. I used to believe marriage was the final destination of love, a warm, comforting harbor after the storms of dating, heartbreaks, and the search for the one. I believed that when I married Michael, 5 years ago, I had found that safe place. But nothing prepares you for the kind of silence that grows in a house where love used to live. Michael and I weren't always this way. When we first moved to our Chicago apartment, we laughed while setting up furniture, ordered Chinese food, and danced barefoot in the kitchen at midnight. He was attentive, thoughtful, always holding my hand during walks or bringing me tea when I was sick. But now, it had been months since I felt that warmth. It started subtly. He avoided eye contact when I spoke. He worked late more often. Our bedroom was no longer a place of intimacy. It had turned into a cold, quiet space where we shared a bed but not a connection. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't fun anymore. Maybe I'd become too boring or too focused on work. I bought new lingerie, cooked his favorite meals, even surprised him with tickets to a Cubs game. But his responses were always the same: a small, distracted smile and a polite, "Thanks, babe." One night, as I sat alone watching old wedding videos on my laptop, I heard the shower running. Something told me to check his phone. I had never done that before. I respected his privacy. But something had been gnawing at my gut. And when I picked up his phone, everything changed. Chapter 2: A Name I Didn't Know. I stared at Michael's phone like it was a bomb I wasn't sure how to disarm. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding in my throat. The screen was open to a text conversation with someone named Ryan. "Ryan, you looked amazing today. I hate when you leave." "Michael, you know I can't stay over. She would notice." "Ryan, what are you going to tell her?" "Michael, I don't know. I'm scared." The messages blurred as tears filled my eyes. I didn't move for minutes. I couldn't. I just stood there, hearing the water run in the bathroom, feeling my world tilt underneath me. He wasn't cheating on me with another woman. He was in love with a man. And somehow, that truth stung even deeper. When Michael stepped out of the bathroom, towel wrapped around his waist, steam following him like a ghost, I was sitting on the edge of the bed with his phone in my lap. He froze. "I read it," I said softly. "All of it." His eyes widened, then dropped to the floor. No excuses. No denial. Just silence. I expected shouting, tears, maybe even lies. But he simply sat across from me, resting his hands on his knees like a man facing judgment. "I never meant for it to happen," he said finally. "I didn't go looking for it." "Then what did you go looking for, Michael?" My voice cracked. "Because I thought we had love. A life." "We did," he whispered. "We do. But it's different now. Something in me, it's always been there. I just never allowed myself to see it." That night I didn't sleep. He slept on the couch, and I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, trying to piece together the broken parts of my reality. I wasn't angry. Not really. I was confused, hurt, betrayed, but not in the way I thought I'd be if he'd cheated with another woman. This was deeper. A question of identity. Of truth. Of everything I thought I knew about my husband and myself. Chapter 3: The Man Named Ryan. 2 days passed without a real conversation. Michael stayed in the guest room. I went to work pretending everything was fine, though my eyes stayed red and puffy behind my sunglasses. On the third morning, I came downstairs to find him sitting at the kitchen table, holding a cup of coffee like it might warm something that had long gone cold inside him. "I want to tell you everything," he said. "If you'll let me." I nodded, unsure if I was ready for answers, but more afraid of silence. He began slowly. "I met Ryan about 8 months ago. At a design conference. He's a creative director at a firm we sometimes collaborate with. At first, it was nothing. We just clicked as friends. We talked about art, movies, work. But it grew from there. And I fought it, I swear. I thought I could shut it down. Walk away. But I didn't. I couldn't. Why? I asked. Why him? Michael exhaled. Because with him, I don't feel like I'm pretending. For the first time, I feel seen. And not judged. And it scared the hell out of me. I stood up, heart pounding. What about me? Was I just a mask for you to wear? A safety net? No, he said quickly, standing too. You were never a lie. I loved you. I still love you in so many ways. But I'd been lying to myself for a long time. You just got caught in it. Tears streamed down my face. I wasn't sure whether I was crying for him, or for myself. I deserve someone who doesn't feel like he's pretending. I whispered. I know, he said. You do. Later that night, curiosity got the better of me. I looked up Ryan on social media. He was tall, dark-haired, and handsome, of course. Confident in the photos. Creative, witty captions. There were a few photos of him and Michael at the same events I'd never heard about. Private smiles. Closed body language. And it hit me, they weren't just having an affair. They were falling in love. I hated how much that hurt. Chapter 4, Between Goodbye and Forgiveness. The next week was filled with half-spoken sentences and packed boxes. Michael was moving out. We'd agreed on it, quietly, painfully. Not with shouting or drama, but with long silences and deep sighs. It wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the end of an illusion, for both of us. I rented a small apartment in Lincoln Park. He told me one night as he folded sweaters into a duffel bag. Just for now. Until I figure out everything. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed tightly across my chest. Are you going to live with him? I asked. Michael paused, then looked up. No. Not yet. I don't want to jump from one lie into something I'm not ready for. Ryan understands. His honesty was a relief, and also another cut. On his last night in our apartment, we sat on the couch watching Good Will Hunting, the first movie we ever saw together. Not because we were pretending everything was okay, but because some part of us still remembered how it felt to be us. When the credits rolled, we sat in silence for a long while. I'm sorry I broke your heart, he said. I'm sorry you had to hide who you are, I replied. Michael reached out and took my hand. For the last time. And I let him. Because I loved him. Still. But I also loved myself too much to hold on to something that wasn't real anymore. The next morning, I watched him carry the last of his things to the Uber waiting outside. He looked back once, his eyes wet. I'll always care about you, he said. I know, I whispered. And then he was gone. Chapter 5, A Different Kind of Love. 3 months later, I was sitting at a small cafe downtown, writing in a journal I hadn't opened in years. The air smelled like roasted beans and cinnamon, and the sunlight poured in through the windows like a promise of something softer. I had started therapy. I picked up yoga. I took myself on solo dates to museums, restaurants, and bookstores. And slowly, the heaviness in my chest started to loosen. I wasn't over him. Not fully. Maybe I never would be. But I was rediscovering who I was, outside of being someone's wife. Then, one afternoon, my phone buzzed. Michael. Hey. Can I ask you something? I stared at the screen before replying. Sure. Would you want to meet for coffee? Just talk. No pressure. I just miss our friendship. My first instinct was to say no. But something in me hesitated. Maybe it was the same something that still cared. That wanted closure or peace, or maybe even understanding. We met 2 days later at a quiet spot near the lake. He looked healthier. Lighter somehow. He smiled like someone who was no longer running from himself. I'm seeing Ryan, he said. For real now. Not in secret. And it's good. We're happy. I nodded. I'm glad. You deserve to be seen. Truly. And you? He asked. I'm working on myself. Figuring out what I want that isn't wrapped up in someone else. He smiled. That's powerful. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Two people who once shared a bed, a dream, a life, now sitting like old friends. Do you hate me? He asked suddenly. I shook my head. I don't. I think you were just scared. And I was collateral damage. But hate? No. I think part of me will always love the version of us that once existed. I walked away from that meeting feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not because everything was perfect, or easy, or painless, but because I had made it through the fire and come out stronger. Michael's truth didn't destroy me, it set both of us free. Love doesn't always look like forever. Sometimes it's about letting go with grace. And in a strange, beautiful way, that's its own kind of love. The end.